4 more Masters of the Universe figures from Super 7 coming up after this. Alright, I have some new Super 7 Masters of the Universe 5.5 inch action figures to look at. I actually have 6 of them, but I am going to save these other 2 for another day. I've wanted Hero and Eldor for a long time. 2 of the last figures that were supposed to be made and never got completed, they finally made them. I have a love-hate relationship with these figures. Super 7 is a smaller toy company. They're new to making figures that are not complex. I don't know why in the instance of these. This is old technology. For some reason, the first round of these they did not get right. I am afraid to even move the ones that I got from the first series because I know that the legs do break off. I have given full reviews of these and showed comparisons to the originals, and I do have my originals for these 4 that we're looking at today. I'll show you and compare them as well. But these are the ones I looked at: He-Man, She-Ra, Skeletor, and Hordak, and all of their weapons. These ones are done in Filmation style. That is what Super 7 has the rights to make figures as seen on TV. So that is the kind of figures that they produce and that they can produce right now. Things are up in the air, though, for what and who will be making Masters of the Universe toys, because there's a movie coming up in March 2021. That is when it is announced that the new Masters of the Universe movie is coming. We have been waiting for a new Masters of the Universe movie for decades. I do have a original figure here, so you can look at the similarities between the 2 cards, first of all. So this was one from the 80s, and here is a Super 7 reproduction. You can see they made it quite faithful to the original, down to the artwork at the top. I don't really like the artist that they're using for these. I don't like to be negative, but Super 7 does bring that out in me. I'm really disappointed that they took on this license and were unable to make figures at an affordable price. I had to stop collecting the Classics line, and I didn't even really like them. Masters of the Universe was my favorite toy line from when I was a kid. So I would always love anything Masters of the Universe, and I always bought everything, like 2000X stuff, bought everything. I bought every figure that Mattel made from the Masters of the Universe Classics, and I never really liked any of them. It was this original toy that I did love. It was the 5.5 action figures. I saw Skeletor originally when I was a kid, and I freaked out. I thought it was the coolest thing I ever saw. Soon after I saw him at a friend's house, I was able to obtain these 2. These are the actual 2 first figures that I received. I'm super impressed at what great condition these are in, considering I played with them every day and they're in pristine condition. I guess goes to show the quality of toys from the 80s and how awesome they were. The funny thing about these toys, they're based on the Filmation cartoon. I really like simple, bright colored toys, and it's kind of why I liked the original figures, because of their really bright but strange color combinations, but they were still really detailed and barbaric at the same time. Now, this was not translated to the cartoon. I was super disappointed as a kid. I just thought it was juvenile and foolish. It was not the toy that I collected. But as years went on, I learned to like it. I mean, I watched it. I grew up in a smaller community town. I don't even think we got the 2nd season of He-Man. I believe that we only got the first few episodes that they played over and over again. And I do have all the DVDs, but to this day I have not watched the 2nd season of Masters of the Universe. Now, She-Ra is a different story. Those stories did get better. I really did like the crossovers. The stories were much better. Let's fast forward to present day, and I am a toy collector, and I love toys. As much as I don't appreciate cartoons that much, I do appreciate toys that look like cartoons. It's the simple designs and bright colors that I'm attracted to in a toy. The biggest problem that I do find with these figures are the plastic that they're made out of. They're not as sturdy as these ones. They're not as rubbery, but we'll see that at least for the first wave. Let me take a look at these ones and see what kind of differences they've made to the second run. Perhaps they're improving on the quality. The cards are the same size. I definitely appreciate that. They're just a slight bit smaller, I would say 1/4 of an inch, but they're totally faithful. There's just, I guess, something about the hand-painted art that's just not the same. However, I love that they have been recreating the toys. I always loved the drawings of the toys. That part looks great. I love all of the action figure art and the action feature art. The original toys came with comic books. I do like that they have put collector cards in the back to mimic that, and that looks really good. I have Beastman, Man-at-Arms, Robot He-Man, which is kind of a ridiculous figure, and Teela. So I'm going to cut these out of their cards, which I don't want to, because they're in such good condition. That is something that I would like to bring up. The first time around, they were squished into a box that was much too small. Some of the cards were bent. This time they put tissue in between. They put lots of bubble wrap around. So I do appreciate that more care was taken for these figures because they are quite expensive. And if I did not mention that, I live in Canada. For me to get these toys here, I have to pay huge shipping prices, import fees afterwards. The exchange rate is horrible. Masters of the Universe Classics figures ended up coming to around $60 for a 6-inch figure. It's not affordable. That is why I'm angry about Super 7 getting the license, because we can get figures like this for $10, under $15. So I'm just looking forward to Mattel grabbing a hold of the license and being able to produce the awesome toys that they make with quality plastics at affordable prices. So I am really looking forward to what the movie will bring, but you never know what kind of style it's going to be in or anything. I do enjoy the Mega Constructs line. That's a really cool Masters of the Universe line, and I would love if they did something like those Rescue Heroes which I showed you, or even made an Imaginext series. I'm extremely happy that all of my cards came unpunched. So I will be carefully cutting the plastic off these and saving the cards for sure. The card is a nice thicker card too, and that is something that we aren't always seeing, like with the new retro Star Wars figures. Those are on very thin cards, so not as fun to collect. What is nice about these figures is that the artwork is made by fans, kids that grew up being inspired. We've got Eamon and Emiliano, kids that grew up watching the cartoon, loved it, were inspired by it, went into art because of their love of Masters of the Universe. That is pretty sweet. I don't know why they would use different artists, because they do all look the same, but I guess it is nice that they do pull from the fan community. And there's little bios on the back of each card. I really do appreciate these cards, and I do love the art on all of these cards. I really can appreciate that. And I should show you the comics on the back. It does talk about the Twisted Wastes. I don't remember the Twisted Wastes being on the last 4 that I opened, but I'll definitely have to double check that. Yeah, they're big on the Twisted Waste part. Yeah, I guess there was some spring action going on. We've got Emiliano's signature on these two, but these two pieces do not have a signature. So perhaps they were made by Eamon as well. I love a collector card, so I am happy to have those. Let's start with this Robot He-Man. Yes, they call him Robot He-Man. I thought this was kind of a cop-out. I got it anyway. I'm gonna get every 5.5 action figure that they produce. All they did was change his head from the original release. He is very, very dark. The skin is very dark, and it looks much darker on the Robot He-Man, but that is not true. They are both very, very tanned. Unfortunately, with the glossy paint, this is the original He-Man, so you can see he is much lighter. It's also much better when they paint the faces opposed to use the shiny plastic. As you can see, the shine on the face does not really work very well. But because the face was painted on this He-Man, it looks a lot better. We've got only one painted face, and that's Teela. It seems to be not as shiny. But let's look at the legs. Okay, so the legs were something that I cannot move on these first four, because when you do, they very often, and that is not me exaggerating, they can break off. I just actually moved one, and I should not be doing it. I'm not going to do it because I do have a friend that actually was afraid to move their legs, and they just moved their leg the other day and it snapped off. So I'm just not going to do that. There are some heating methods that you can do. You can heat them up, then while they're warm you can move them around and wiggle them around and smooth them out that way. That I might try. But these ones I have heard I don't know. However, I did buy these from Super 7. All of the other waves I have now ordered from Big Bad Toys because the shipping was just too high on Super 7. So I decided to turn to Big Bad Toys, which has better shipping to Canada. All I can do is turn them. They're stuck the other way, so I'm not going to risk that. They have 6 points of articulation, just like in the 80s, where each leg moved, the arms twisted, and the head twisted, and there was the punch action waist. So that is what we see here. Robot He-Man comes with 2 accessories, his sword, which is a brittler plastic than the original weapons. The original weapons had the perfect amount of rubbery content to the plastic, just so durable. These ones do feel brittle, very, very brittle. For some reason, the shield always falls apart. I don't know what that is about. It's probably supposed to be glued, but they skip that, or the fusion doesn't work on the pegs in the back. The shield used to have a piece of cardboard that was placed inside of it. This one is painted on. The sword is quite different, but not too much so. It does look an awful lot more like the Filmation cartoon. I can't get the shield in his hand, so I'm not gonna do that. I do not want to break these things, so I basically won't touch them. I'm gonna treat them like they're fragile pieces of china, because they kind of are. Original He-Man versus this new Robot He-Man. Okay, Teela. Let's look at her. Teela looks real good, quite similar to the original one. I was worried about the face, but my paint actually looks pretty good. I thought that they put a little too much detail, especially because they're supposed to be simple. Let me show you what the original Teela face looks like. That's actually done quite nicely. She's very dark. She had darker skin, and she came with this harness, and I really always loved all of this snake equipment. It just made her creepy and cool. The fact that she was a snake lady, it was more mythology, and I really loved that about the original figures. But then they took her design and styled it for the cartoon, and I would say that all of these are quite faithful to the cartoon. I mean, her face doesn't really look like the cartoon or anything, but all of the changes in design and everything are there. Again, for me, it doesn't really matter if they look like the cartoon. I just really enjoy the simple toys. So you can see how simplified they made her. And I really do like the coloring. The paint isn't the best on her. You can see flaws on the boots and around her arm cuffs. She does have the spring action. She doesn't line up straight which is kind of weird, but I guess that's just the spring action. Maybe over time she would fall into place. But overall, she looks good. She doesn't feel as sturdy. I guess they probably did slim her down a little. The original did have super muscular thighs. See a wider stance. She just has a more quintessential 80s female body. Okay, now here is the first time I've been able to use the legs, so I can make them go out on a more notched joint here, and then it rotates as well. That would be great if they all worked like this. That's a nice range of motion. Definitely better than the elastic band when it works. And she comes with a shield like that. This is her original shield, so quite different. The plastic is very brittle, so I will not attempt to put her hand in there because I don't want to break it off. You know what? Oh, I did do it. It is a bit loose. You probably can push it up a little bit. Okay, I put it on. You can kind of slide it onto her hand and then push it up. That means it can also fall off. Now she has an open hand. Before she had a totally closed fist. But it is similar. I like that. And I guess that would be to put the sword in. I don't want to put stress on the hand by opening it. So I'll just show you the sword. And I can show you that along with her snake staff. So originally she came with a snake staff. They gave her a sword for the Filmation version. It's a nice sword. It's funny because it's just like a stir stick. And the plastic does feel like the kind of quality that you would get in a bar for a stir stick. You definitely could snap it if you bent it. So I don't like to put them into the hands of the figures just in case they break. I do appreciate the design of these. I can just look at these and treat them as if they're porcelain. I do like her, and I love that I'm able to use her joints. That is a huge bonus. In comparison, even with my love for simple solid blocks of color, I still do like the original better. Look, you can see how she is just as shiny. She might have once been as shiny as these figures. Pretty shiny, so maybe that is what Super 7 is trying to mimic. In that case, they did a pretty good job. Man-at-Arms. He has a painted face. Okay, can I move his legs? That's okay. Yeah, his leg. I'm moving it. I'm turning it. It's not falling off. I'm moving it. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh. I can get like one notch out of it. I guess maybe that's all that it offers. I really do miss the more rubbery material. These actually feel pretty rubbery. So here he is. The cartoon Man-at-Arms. I really notice how small his feet are. Yeah, when I saw his feet in promo pictures, I did think that they looked a little ridiculously small. And I guess they are quite stubby. So some changes that they made is instead of giving him snap-on guards here, they did paint that on. They could have given him extra armor like they do with these ones. But they did do that up top. And I do have to say that I love the colors and how well these are staying on his shoulders. Oh, even though that they can fall off easily without unfastening them. I guess that is just the design. It is incredible how well that they were designed and molded so that they did not fall off. I guess they took a lot more care when they were making figures like these in the 80s and considered stuff like that. We never had that problem with any of these sliding out of position. They really did pay attention to how is this going to hook on, where are we going to wrap this around to make it stay on, because the fact that that can happen, and we did notice that with some of the other armor in the first wave where He-Man can't completely fasten his harness. You can either have the top strap fastened or you can have the back fastened, but you cannot have both fastened at the same time. This Man-at-Arms comes with a mace, completely different from the original one. Comparing the two, I have to say that the new one I love just as much, like for different reasons. Like they really did a really good job at simplifying him and I like the color blocking, and I love the color choices. His face looks fantastic and looks very much like the cartoon as well. The fact that it's painted and not shiny, I like that. It would be nice to have some consistency with that. If they were all going to be shiny, they could all be shiny. If not, I really do appreciate this original squished up, barbaric, scary looking face. I really do love the details on these and the minimal amounts of paint. But this one definitely holds its own. He also comes with this laser gun, which has 2 handles, but because of his limitation of articulation, he can only hold it in one hand, and he does that poorly. Oh, he could fit in his hand like this. It seems, especially with Masters of the Universe, and that's what I can talk to mostly about, because as a kid I mainly collected Masters of the Universe, and if an action figure came with a weapon, you could guarantee that that weapon or piece of armor was going to stay securely onto the figure. Nowadays, toy companies seem to not care as much, or they don't consider that in the design. I don't understand why that happens more. You get an accessory and the action figure can't hold on to it, or in this guy's case, you can just slide his armor off so easily. I am usually very diplomatic about my toy collecting. The fact that these are so expensive and there's been so many problems and so many excuses, I'm just not willing to forgive. I think Beastman looks fantastic. Again, he suffers from really small feet. Beastman should have huge feet. I don't know, maybe in the cartoon he had teeny tiny feet. Original Beastman did not have tiny feet like that. I do have to say that this is a toy that I would freak out about finding it on the shelf. This is everything that I love in a toy. Bright colors, it's a monster, it's cute, adorable, and it's tough at the same time. So this is definitely a toy I can get behind. They switched up the colors a little bit. The thing about the original ones is you were just on the end of that creepy 70s barbaric edge. Things were just a little more edgy, a little more dark. Besides the scale and the sturdiness of the figures, the colors were one of the main things that attracted me to Masters of the Universe. It was just obscure color combinations that worked so well together. Now, Beastman apparently also suffers from his armor falling off easily. Again, that is something that did not happen. Even as a kid, I remember being super impressed that you could have all of these pieces of armor and they just stayed on so well without any issues. But this guy does look really, really good. I do appreciate that he is cuter than the other one. I can appreciate both of these for what they are individually. Let's see how his legs are working out. I'm getting some of the joint movement, and I also got a good swivel there. And on this leg, oh. Okay, yeah, I'm getting some movement there and a twist here, so that's good. Nothing snapped off, nothing broke. The original one had double spikes. This guy has just one, because they simplified it in the cartoon. Let's check out his torso. This armor, his chest plate, does feel like the rubbery plastic. Let's see if I can take this off. You know what, I can't take it off. Let me see if this is the same body. So I don't know if his head pulls off or not. I am definitely not going to try that. I think these all have the same torsos. He doesn't have the furry chest like they have on the original. They probably just made one mold that they use for all the bodies, and I'm okay with that. Again, that is another thing that I really loved about the original series. I loved that they did swap parts and they just made different creations with them. I thought that was really cool. So this plastic, I don't know why they're not using this for the weapons, because it is the nice rubbery plastic that I love to see. It feels really flexible and durable, even though it might be so thick that it's like impossible to fasten and unfasten. I don't think I can ever get it done up again. And it is upsetting that these arm bands do fall off. constantly. I guess it's just a size thing. They made it just a little too big. It's really strange that a toy company today can't mimic the toy technology of the 80s, the 70s, even the 60s. But he does look awesome. He also comes with this extra accessory. It's probably some reference to the cartoon series. I don't know if it would necessarily look good on him or anything. It's weird to have the soft goods. The whip, I have to say, is made incredibly well. The rope part is a very nice cloth material. The design of the handle is really quite nice. And it's made much better than the original. Much bigger, too. But pretty much exactly the same design. I know it might not sound like it, but overall I am super happy with how these turned out. It looks like that they are improving on them. Let's see if they can stand. I am very afraid to move their legs around. I actually don't know if they can stand. Man-at-Arm and Beastman have very small feet. I don't know if that is a reflection of the cartoon. They look so good. The paint job is perfect. I really like the colors on Teela. She looks pretty awesome as well. I didn't like her face paint in the pictures I saw, but I'm okay with the face paint that we got. But it certainly does not compare to that. We definitely don't get face paint like that these days. Why that is, I don't know. I wonder if this was stamped or done by hand. I think everything in the 80s was done by hand. I guess more care was taken back then. I can't risk bending Robot He-Man's legs because the joint is so tight. Interesting that the armor on these two are made of a different plastic than He-Man's armor. He-Man's armor seems to be made of a more brittle plastic like his sword. Hopefully that is the direction that they're taking these in. Unfortunately, Super 7 does not like to re-release things, so once they make them, you're probably not going to see it again. But I am seeing an improvement, and I love the colors in these. I think they're doing a very good job at the likenesses, even though the likenesses are not an important feature to me. I just want them to be simple, awesome, hunky, chunky, sturdy looking toys. They look sturdy. I wouldn't necessarily say that they are sturdy. I definitely am going to treat these very delicately. Let me know what you think of these. Do you collect these? I am really happy that they're coming back. I've ordered all of my upcoming waves from Big Bad Toys because shipping's a lot cheaper there. Despite all my negativity, I'm quite happy with these. I hope you will like, comment, share, and subscribe, and let me know what you think of these action figures and the difference between 80s toys and toys that they make today. Hope to see you soon. New Beastman is taller. Old Man-at-Arms is taller. Old He-Man is taller. New Teela is taller. I really do like these figures. Just been kind of stressful. Should I open up him? I think I'm going to open up Randor one day. And you might want to see my full collection. If you want to see my full Masters of the Universe collection, let me know. I don't have every figure from the 80s, but I have a lot of them. And they're in really good condition. And also, this video is going to be coming up soon, so let me know if you want to see these. I do have some problems with these as well.